right, y'all, get ready for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your hosts, Dave and Lynn. Welcome, everyone. It's your favorite guys back again. You're listening to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Lynn. This is Dave Coker of Dave Mark Inc., promoter and event planner. And I got along with me my favorite partner.
your only partner.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is Leonard Young, owner of National Black Guy, black media specialist, and all-around good guy. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, I'm here, brother. I'm here. We made it through to another week. How was your weekend?
Man, it was good. You know, this was really a relaxing weekend, even though we had a full house of kids. But, still had a good time. We had a little cookie making challenge that the kids did over the weekend. So,
okay.
And whoever had the best cookies got to open one of their gifts.
Okay, so who won?
So actually my son Quincy won.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so he outshined the girl.
All of the cookies were nasty, but his was the least nasty. Basically. So, I mean, he got lucky.
Now, are they influenced by the TV shows, the cooking shows, and everything?
So the girls are.
Oh, the girls are. Okay.
My son, I mean, if it's not TikTok, Roblox, Pokemon, Minecraft,
yeah,
he's not even worried about it. So
okay, all right, I get it.
Yeah. Well, what about your weekend?
I was busy. One of my coworkers is leaving the job.
By choice or by force?
Yeah, she got another job, and it's a great opportunity. And so after 17 years with the state, she is leaving to take this opportunity. So we hooked up with her and went to a happy hour thing with her and had a good time and everything. And so I didn't get a chance to do what I wanted to do, which was go see Spider-Man, but it's coming. I'm going to see it this week.
I've heard all good reviews.
Everybody I talk to is talking about how great this movie is. So I got to see it this week sometime. I'm sure I'll see it by the weekend. So.
And you want me to tell you, like, this is probably the first movie that I would actually order, but I hear it's only in theaters, right?
Yeah, because they wanted to make that money. You know, did you see how much it made?
No, I did not.
It made $260 million and domestically, and over 600 million worldwide.
Oh, wow.
For the opening weekend.
Yeah, so I know they said it was only second to Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Or at least pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Well, they're making some money off.
Oh, yeah, no, they're making a kill.
Yeah, and it's I haven't heard one bad review about this picture, so that's good.
Yeah, I know.
So that's good.
Not a single one.
So now we got a movie review out.
Right.
But come on, let's talk some news.
Yeah, so you know, Dave, I was just trying to research some good stories for the weekend. You know, one of them I found, and it's a story or it's a situation we know a lot about, but a story that, and to be honest, I never heard about this lady in school. So, a lot of times we hear about Rosa Parks, how she refused to give up her seat to a white person and move to the back of the bus. But before Rosa Parks, there was another lady named Claudette Colvin. She was also in Alabama. She was in Montgomery, I think. Rosa was in Selma or Birmingham, maybe somewhere else.
I think it was, yes.
And so she was actually the first person. She refused to give up her seat. And in doing so, she was arrested. And she, of course, received a record. And just recently, 66 years, she's still living, 66 years after she was arrested, her juvenile record, because she was a juvenile at the time, has been expunged. So, it was kind of like a big celebration, a little bit of, definitely a heartwarming situation because, she was standing up for her rights. And even though we always hear about Rosa Parks, she was actually the first. And to give you a little bit of backstory, and I actually learned this via social media, specifically Twitter. But, what she did and what Rosa did were both around the same time. And there were a couple reasons why Rosa Parks was the face of the organization.
I already know where you're going.
Oh, you already? Okay. Well,
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yep. So, that one reason was colorism.
And it was Montgomery, Alabama.
It was Montgomery?
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Oh, so Rosa was Montgomery?
Yes.
Okay. So they were both Montgomery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, one of the reasons was colorism.
Of course.
Rosa is light-skinned, fair. Yeah. Claudette was a little bit darker. Another reason was Claudette, shortly after the incident, she got pregnant. So a pregnant teenager, they kind of chose for that not to necessarily be the face of the organization.
Of the movement.
But, I just think it's crazy how, and, I just say for myself, there's so much Black history that I'm learning via social media that I didn't learn in school. And I'm sure, they may not be teaching it in schools.
No. Let me say this as an older person. I was born I was born in the 60s, and a lot of this stuff was going on during that time, in, my early years of life. And I don't know, man. I mean, the stuff that we were talking, I went to Black schools all the way up until my 12th year of high school. I went to all Black schools. So you would think.
Hold on, but except AI, right?
I wasn't going to put that out there.
Because we already know.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put that out there. But anyway, when you think about going to Black schools and everything, you would think that there would be a lot of Black history taught. But I'm finding out stuff now that I didn't know anything about. This story here, I remember vaguely hearing about Miss Colvin before, but not to, the celebratory mention. Her name hadn't been in that mention as a Rosa Parks, because of course Rosa Parks looked the part,
right?
And she was perfect for what they needed to do at that time, and unfortunately, why make a woman wait 66 years because she refused to give up her seat? And then why not before now? Did this happen to happen because of the timing of where we are with the Black Lives Matter and everything else that's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a combination of everything. I think one is, first of all, and this is something we probably don't know, but when did she start trying to fight it? Two is, why was it even a fight? It's kind of like, okay, if we think back and you were discriminated against in 1950, do we need to go back and be like, okay, like we need to right that wrong?
Well, I mean, a lot of the people that were wronged against back then, they are fighting, trying to go back and get that stuff taken off the books. And of course, if they spent any time in jail, of course, they can't get that time back.
Right.
But, there are our favorite word these days, reparations.
and Dave, I want all my reparations.
Yeah.
I want them all.
Yeah. So we want all of that to be paid. And I'm sure Ms. Colvin, she fought that fight to be able to have hers paid as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get, it took 66 years. It's ridiculous. It's 66 years to give this woman her just due. Did she get on the wrong bus?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Think about it. Did she get on the wrong bus? But for those that want to read the story, make sure to take the time, because I'm telling you, I'm finding out some things about Black history. I don't want to get too far off the subjects right now, but if you ever get a chance to Google about the lakes that are down in the South that were once cities, Black-owned cities, and
they flooded them?
Oh, you didn't know about this?
I mean, I feel like I heard a little bit, but
yeah,
they
flooded these towns. One in Florida, one in Georgia, and they're very popular resorts right now.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
They're resorts.
Not for us?
No. No. Because they flooded these towns out back during the 60s and the early.
So now are they like lakefront resorts and waterfront?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but they were once black ran towns. You ever hear the story of Central Park?
Yep. There's Seneca Village.
Yes.
And to be honest, I only learned that via social media.
And how long ago?
Within the year.
See, there you go.
Within the year.
See, all of this stuff is coming out because of social media and because you can find out all the stuff that you need to know on the web now. That's what makes it possible. So, but that stuff, we're going to get into it at another time because that's some deep stuff right there, So we're going to actually keep it moving. And anything you guys hear, we actually want you guys to make your comments and everything because we want to be able to see what you're thinking about the things that we're talking about, and we want your voice to be heard. So anything you hear, please put it in our chat. You can so we can make comments every now and then. We'll get a comment, and we try to bring it up while we're on the air, so we can acknowledge that you put it out there. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to our next story. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about this. I'm sure if you're a social media person, you probably know a little bit about this. But on Friday last week, it was all over social media about National Shoot Up Your School Day.
Crazy. Crazy.
You can't make this stuff up, folks. Yeah. That's what it's actually called. National Shoot Your School Up Day. National Shoot Up Your School Day. Let me get it right. Okay, and this was a challenge on TikTok. Of course, that's where all the challenges are. On TikTok, where they were telling people to shoot their schools up. Do you know that they had, and this is real, they had people on alert, cops, all types of law enforcement agencies all over the United States. This isn't just happened in one area. Didn't you say you were concerned about your kid or something?
Yeah, definitely. And it's so funny because I saw somebody in Best Buy when I get in these headphones, but I didn't even hear about it until the day of. I'd already dropped my kids off from school. My wife, she was taking her kids to school, and I guess Power 99.
Oh, yeah, I was listening.
Okay.
That's how I heard about it.
Well, it's funny. Like the lady I saw in Best Buy, she mentioned Power 99, too. And she said she made a U-turn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what Power 99 was saying.
Well, they were talking about this.
But it's funny because I think some people knew about this.
Yeah.
But Power 99, after hearing multiple people talk about it, they turned around.
Crazy. It was crazy. I was like, wait. Are you serious? And then I jumped on my phone and started Googling, and of course that's what we do now. And I said, this is a real thing.
No,
it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so and some people were not sending their kids to school or whatever. Now, thank God, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Not
a single shooter.
Not a single shooting. So nobody acted on it. Thank God for that. But we just got finished talking about a story about a lady who sat down on a bus. We go to a story where people are talking about shooting up schools.
I know.
And this lady
a challenge.
Right. And it was only a challenge. And this lady had to wait 66 years to get her reparations, right. To be able to get her name expunged. And we're talking about people that are going around talking about shooting up schools. And telling your kids, now just think, if we had one kid who, got their hands on an AR-15 and decided to walk around to a school and shoot up a school, which we know has happened already. So, with certain kids. Recently.
Yeah.
So just think, if somebody took that challenge seriously and went and shot up a school, what we would be talking about right now.
Yeah, definitely. And, even the other crazy thing that I think about, too, is, okay, what responsibility does TikTok have? Because so it's kind of like if it's spreading.
But keep in mind where TikTok is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's kind of like, okay. So I know TikTok probably jumped on it as fast as they can, not fast enough.
And we know that TikTok has been they have been accused of being very prejudiced.
Oh yeah.
So we don't know what that was put out there.
We talked about that on episode 3, 4, and 5, right?
Right. Yeah. And we know that technically that could have been something that was put out there for certain groups of people.
Oh, okay. Conspiracy theory. I hear you.
Because, think about it, but we always got the conspiracy theories going on our show. Right. So, but there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them are there's definitely viable. Some of them are definitely viable, and we need to make sure that we pay attention, because that's the problem. We don't take everything serious enough, and we need to make sure we're doing that. Okay.
Right. But playing devil advocate, I think it's hard too, because every time it's almost like, you remember in school, every time they pull the fire alarm, mm-hmm. like you go outside. I know that if we had canceled school because of this, then it's like, okay, every time, if it's a prank or it's a thing, so
they'd be out of school so much.
I think eventually you kind of come numb to the situation. But one last thing on my part, I will say I was surprised that my children's school, so I didn't know about what till they went to school. When they came home, I asked them, I'm like, okay, were you scared? They're like, no, we weren't worried, kids. But one thing they did say is that they don't have any police presence in their schools. And I would have thought at least for that day they would have had somebody, but so. And
it's funny because when I was coming up, we always had police presence.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We had truant officers. So they were we had police presence assigned to the school. So that was something that we always had somebody that we can go to from the police force to be able to do that. But anyway, if anybody has any comments on that, please feel free to put it out there. And we're going to keep it moving to our next story.
Yep. And I'll probably say, especially if anyone has any comments about keeping their kids home.
Oh yeah, school, especially that.
How you felt about that safety measure. Yeah. And if it happens again, would you keep your kids home every time?
And how did your kids feel about it? Let's hear. We want to hear about what the kids had to say.
I think we already know how the kids felt about it.
Yeah, dude.
But my kids are a little bit different, and I said, "Would you rather come home or go to school?" They said, "We'd rather go to school." I was like, "You are not my kids," because I would have stayed home at all costs.
I know. Me too.
But speaking of kids, and of course, we got good kids on this side. Dave, I don't know if you heard, there was a story of this drug dealer in Chicago, 17 years old. A 17-year-old white drug dealer who stabbed a 15-year-old boy who tried to basically run off with his weed in like a marijuana transaction.
They went bad, huh?
Right. So he stabbed this boy. The boy died. Right. So that may be kind of like a typical story we hear in the news, or at least now. The spin on this is that he got off with no charges. He got probation. And the comment the judge said to him, I guess at deliberation or, when the sentence was read, was he's a bright kid with a bright future. Okay. So this is the drug dealing, stabbing, white kid. Right. Yeah. Just for reference, the person he stabbed was a Hispanic.
Right.
And the Hispanics' families thought it was not fair. They thought it was white privilege. So, I mean, we're not the only ones.
I'm sure they're following a civil suit, right?
I can't see why they wouldn't. If they have an attorney, I can't see why they wouldn't.
If they have a good attorney, they should be following a civil suit after that. But, there's so many things I want to say here, But when you think about it, this was a good kid, the judge said. Okay, he has a bright future. Did the judge even ask why the kid had something that was sharp enough to stab the other kid?
Right.
Okay. And outside of the fact that he just sold him drugs or attempted to sell him drugs, it was a deal that went kind of awry. But I get so frustrated when I hear stories like this, and I think everybody does, but it all goes in line with what we've been dealing with over the last 5 years. Okay, now I only said the last 5 years because of what we just came out of as far as the number 45 presidency, but this kind of stuff has been happening for a long time now. And we've had all these cops to get off for killing people of color. You can't even walk down the street and minding your own business without somebody accusing you of doing something, And here we have these two kids, and it's because now what would have happened if that was the other way around? We all know.
We already would have known.
Yeah,
he would have been a thug.
Yep.
He definitely would not have been a bright. First of all, how did the judge know he has a bright future? So when he comes in, he's dealing drugs. I'm just curious, what would make the judge say he had a bright future unless his parents were of status? That's the only thing that could automatically make me think that, he had a bright future. So
that had to be the case. I mean, when you look at it this way, that's the only thing that it could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, and now that kid, does he have to look over his shoulder from now
on? I'm sure, because so this other kid went to his high school.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming. So it does say the other kid, the kid he stabbed was an up and coming wrestler at the school. Okay. So I would think that kid has a bright future too. Now, unfortunately, he was stabbed. He was killed, by the white drug dealer. So, that's just one thing we never know. But, it's just the audacity that this judge would say he's a good kid with a bright future. He got probation, and the other family right now is really just kind of, holding on for probably that civil case that's coming.
And it should be coming, personally. We definitely need to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't go on a regular basis, because Chicago is one of the murder capitals of the world,
Yes.
And so this kid, I'm sure they have to have some type of security around him at all times, for now. Anyway.
Yeah. Or, to be honest, if it's that bad, his parents probably removed him.
He probably need to move.
Yeah, he would. Cause I'm just thinking, if I went to school with somebody who killed another classmate, there's just so much tension there already.
Right now, most of the killings that are going on in places like Philadelphia, here in Delaware, or whatever, is retaliatory.
Yeah.
Okay, so these, and it has to do with the fact that you did something to mine, I'm going to do something to yours. I'm sure that's going on in Chicago. And I'm sure that kid would probably not be able to walk down the street by himself without looking around.
Right. Somebody
is probably paying attention, believe me.
Plus, to be honest, if I was his parents, I wouldn't even let him go back to that school. Like that just sounds like trouble.
If I was his parents, I'd probably...
Let me
I had to mute myself, folks. But that's a whole nother story. But I just hope and pray that somehow this kid conscious maybe kicks in, and he does turn out to be what this delusional judge says he thinks he is, or whatever the case may be. And maybe he'll show some remorse if he lives long enough, I'm going to say, because, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. So, stuff like this really, kind of makes your blood boil a little bit.
It does.
But if any of you guys have comments, let us know, we want to make sure that we're not missing anything here. Maybe somebody else sees it from a different perspective. So, okay. On any of the subjects that we talk about, always feel free to chime in. You're talking about Dave and Lynn. You're listening to Dave and Lynn. And this is Newz and Trendz. Okay. The next story, this kind of staying on the topic of racism in the world today. I don't know if you guys heard the story about this. We had another Karen type situation. Lady and her son. There's a video out there too where they're standing in the garage and they're talking to this guy. The guy is actually, and I will say he is African American gentleman. He's working in the garage. These people are paying attention to everything he's doing. Apparently, they followed him.
From inside the building?
Yeah, they followed him. Yeah. And the son, the guy started recording them because they started asking him a bunch of questions, who he was, why was he there, and so forth. And the guy was like, I don't have to tell you why I'm here or whatever. And the son gets mad because he's recording the conversation and comes over and attacks the guy and tries to take his phone and everything. And the next thing you see, the next thing you see, the son go flying backwards, because the guy looked like the guy kicked him or something.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he
did
kicked
like
him or something.
A little roundhouse kickoff.
Yeah, but then the woman starts saying, "Well, I want to know who you are," and all of this kind of stuff, and demanding they tell who he is. And then she says, "I'm going to call the cops. I'm calling 911 right now." He's encouraging. He said, "I want you to call the cops. Why? I'm minding my own business. Why are you guys messing with me?" And the guy apparently, was doing what he said he was doing. He was working, but these people kept messing with him. And, she's walking around with her designer bag and everything, so she's sitting there and she said, "I'm calling the cops right now." You can see her talking to the guy and whatever. You got to look at the video. The son is standing next to her. The son's a pretty big guy, but that dude hit him pretty good and knocked him backwards though. But the kid jumped on him first. And they think, you could tell, they just feel that they're in the right, that they didn't do anything wrong. And they never asked this guy anything. They just assumed that he was there because they said they had a lot of thefts in the building and people have been robbing them. Well, then why you pick on this guy? If there was a white guy in there, would you have called the cops on him?
Right. And, even taking a look at the video, like the first thing that comes to my mind is, if I was robbing, I'm not going to sit here and entertain all your questions. If I'm robbing, I'm going to be leaving the whole time, walking away. This guy's clearly, he got time.
Yeah. And he's dialoguing with them because he's trying to get them to understand, hey, look, I'm minding my business. I'm doing my job. Why are you guys messing with me? But they, and you should see the posture of the woman and her son, and they're sitting there like they're in the right or whatever and so forth. They're calling the cops and so forth, but they call the cops and they do a real punk move. They call the cops, but then they leave and they wouldn't stay around. And then you hear the guy say to them, "Why y'all leaving? Stay here because you feel you're right.
Yeah,
why are you leaving? Stay here till the cops come so we can have this conversation with the cops." But they, you see them on the steps. They're trying to walk up the steps, whatever. But they, they kind of bail on the situation after they call the cops because they didn't want to be there. Because, of course, quite naturally, they know they were wrong. The boy attacked him.
And he got it on video. He had a camera out the whole time.
So there's no way they could win this.
Plus, it's like, I'm not going to confront somebody about stealing if they're going to stand in my face and wait there as long, it just, for Karen and Karen's son, it probably just didn't add up to them.
Yeah. And she's still standing on the step. She's standing on the step.
Still trying to make that phone call.
Still trying to make the phone call. So the guy starts walking over towards the steps to talk to her, and she goes up the steps. She runs away, after she was standing there just doing all this talking. And she's still talking at the top of the steps. It's so funny. But the guy, he held his cool. He definitely did a really good job because some people probably would have freaked out in that situation.
I mean, it probably would have been a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you know what, Dave? One thing I always think about with this is, why do people feel the need out of their assumptions to take their assumptions into, okay, if you think something's wrong, call the police, let them do their job.
Yeah,
but
why engage?
But why do you and your son feel the need to have to confront, confine, knock the phone out of the hand with something you're not absolutely sure about?
That's how lynchings happen.
Yeah.
Because they did stuff that they thought that was right for them.
Right.
And, and in this situation, if they really felt concerned, all they had to do was go up to their apartment and make a phone call.
Call the police. And if there were a lot of thefts in that garage, I'm sure they had video cameras down there.
Yeah.
Because, the other thing I think about too, as a black man, and I'm just going to be real, if I'm having an argument with a person, a white person, and I'm black, and the police come, I don't have a lot of confidence that my side is going to be heard appropriately unless it's a black officer.
Right.
And even with that, like, I'm just not sure. So, just the fact that he was in that situation and they called the police, to be honest, like, just look, even though we can't hear right now, but we're watching, I was a little nervous for him.
It's one thing in his favor.
The cell phone.
He recorded the conversation. And he had that phone out, like, when you see this video, his phone's out the whole time. Even when the kid tried to take the phone away from him because he was recording the conversation.
Yeah, I was about to say he messed around and did a Bruce Leroy. He did a Bruce Leroy on him.
You guys got to see the video. If you look at it, it says, assaulted by racist Karen, mom and son duel for working while black. That's what it says. And, when you see the video, you'll see the kid go flying because he came too close to the guy. So, but I just wanted to bring that up because, a lot of that is happening. Unfortunately, we find ourselves getting in a lot of trouble just because we're black.
We do.
Yeah.
Everybody, you're listening to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Lynn. Make sure you like this podcast, comment, let us know your questions. And you can definitely follow us on all podcast platforms, especially Podbean. But next we're going to go into, one of my favorite topics, and I always like talking about it, but this is historically black college and university. I will say before I give my college introduction, there was a meme on social media, and it was talking about how tired they are asking people what school they went to, and they start with the illustrious, the greatest, talking about HBCUs. And the reason why I say that, because I always say, what college did you go to? I went to Florida A&M University, the #1 HBCU nation, the highest of 7 hills, home of the Rattler that will strike, and strike again. But, I just always like to throw that out there. But, Dave, and I know you're big into sports, so you've probably seen some of the stuff. But, the last 2 years, HBCUs have just kind of been on the rise. And whether we're talking about sports, we're talking about music, we're talking about politicians. So, real quick, I just want to rattle off some of the ones that I just wrote down right now. So, of course, one of the biggest things recently, Meg Thee Stallion graduated from Texas Southern University, a degree in something healthcare related. I know she talked about wanting to open up a healthcare facility. J.R. Smith at North Carolina A&T, and I believe he's on the golf team there. We have Chris Paul at Winston-Salem State University. We have LeBron James, who designed the basketball shoes for Florida A&M University. We have Will Packer, Florida A&M graduate, who goes back and does a lot. We have Deion Sanders, of course, at Jackson State University. We have Kamala Harris, our vice president from Howard. We have that Dell State Joe Biden connection, home state connection as well. And this is something, this was a little surprise I wanted to throw, and I didn't even want to tell you I had this coming. There's 2 people on Power Book who went to FAMU.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Who?
Kane,
okay,
graduate of FAMU.
Really?
Yep.
Bobby Brown himself?
Yep, Bobby Brown himself. And Mecca.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, I thought that was interesting.
He went to?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also there's recently a football player who transferred from Florida State to FAMU because it's right across this track. But long story short, I feel like HBCUs have been on the rise the last 2 years, probably just because of like the Black Power movement, Black Lives Matter, Buy Black, Support Black. I know you're a big sports fan, and we've talked about FAMU, but I just want to get your takes on, why you think, some of that resurgence has kind of.
Well, one thing I will say, especially taking it from a sports perspective. A few years ago, and you probably don't know about this, there was a basketball player who was like one of the top recruits in the country. I think he was the number one recruit in the country, and he could have went to any school in the country. There were so many people after him, and he went to Howard. That
So he was a tall dude, right?
Yeah,
I feel
right.
like okay.
Yeah,
I remember seeing
yeah,
it.
yeah. He went to Howard, and everybody was like, "What? He signed with Howard University?" And that's where he ended up going to school, with Howard. And I think he's a junior this year, if I'm not mistaken. So that was one of the things that kind of started the trend. Um, um, and he decided when he made that choice, it meant that the HBCUs were back on the rise again, because people forget, if you're not of a certain age, you don't remember the heydays of the HBCUs. When a guy like Earl the Pearl Monroe came out of Winston-Salem University and was one of the top guards in the country basketball wise. Um, and you don't remember those situations. Back then, it was the HBCUs had a lot of pro football players. Yeah, Grambling was turning out pro football players. Doug Williams, and to name a few, Isaiah Robinson was a linebacker. There were a lot of guys that came out. One of my favorite quarterbacks came from an HBCU, James Harrison. So there was.
We also have Willie Gallimore, who came for Florida University.
A&M. Yeah, I know. That's Florida A&M had quite a few. Florida A&M and Grambling were turning out pros left and right back in the day. So it's really interesting nowadays. And then you got a lot of actors and so forth. Of course, we had T'Challa from
Chadwick
Boseman, who also was a Howard alumni. Anthony Anderson, Howard alum. And of course the vice president. So it's been an upswing. But the only thing, you got a lot of people enrolling in these schools, but the money situation is still not right.
The money's all funny.
It's still a lot of funny stuff going on with the money. And you got a lot of athletic personalities. You got a lot of stars in the entertainment world. A lot of hip hop artists and whatever. They're all investing in these schools. They're trying to help pay off these loans that people have, as far as the repayment and everything. So there's been an upswing to try to get people to enroll in these schools. But still, we got to get that money situation under control so we can keep in those schools. And even a guy like Deion, you mentioned Deion Primetime there, Sanders, there's a lot of Division I schools that are trying to get him now.
Because, I'm sure. Because didn't they say Florida State passed him up?
Yeah, Florida State. I think Texas was looking at him. There was a couple schools looking at him, and because he had such a great year. Unfortunately, he took a beating this past weekend. His boy at South Carolina State, They did a number on him for the championship. Nobody saw that coming.
Right. I heard it was a close game. I didn't see it.
Yeah, nobody saw it coming. Though, they kind of beat Deion and them up. But it is what it is. Deion has two sons playing there.
Yeah, I saw that.
And one of his sons could have went anywhere as well. So this is where we are. It's a good thing that the HBCUs are doing so well.
And I was thinking about it too. I can't remember what school it is, but Master P's son was playing basketball at an HBCU too. I think he may have just recently transferred out.
Oh, the younger
one?
But
I'm not sure which one.
Because I know Romeo also was playing ball.
Yeah. Yeah, so not Romeo, but they're the one who was currently playing. But Dave, I definitely agree. I think, and I kind of hate to say that George Floyd and, what happened to him kind of created a movement.
Yeah.
But, it did spark a lot of things, so like right after he passed, there was a big buy black moment, which is still, surging now.
Yeah.
There was a big movement to supporting HBCUs. There was a big movement to Black history. And that reminded me, this summer, Governor of Delaware signed into law that schools here in Delaware will now be required to teach Black history,
right.
which is, major.
I did see that because they had gotten away from, look, there was no Black history.
There was
history
slavery.
Yeah, it was all slavery. That's all they talked about was slavery.
Yeah.
And that's all most of these students know about. They don't know a lot of American history, period. So yes, so this type of stuff is definitely needed. And even in the HBCUs, you have like, I know people that have been history majors in colleges and whatever, and they don't know any of the stuff that, like, about these cities that I just mentioned to you that were underwater and so forth. Nobody knew that. I saw it on a TV show and I was like, my mouth dropped open. I was like, what?
And I'll even go a little bit farther or a little bit broader, but even Tulsa. I never learned
That's
about
not in history books anyway.
I never learned about Tulsa in school, and I just learned about that probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. And when you look at it, and then when they did the movie The Harder They Fall, and they talked about all of the the characters in that movie, how they were all real, even though the movie was based on fiction, but it was all real people. And Tulsa, the sheriff there was Matson from that movie. He was the sheriff there. And I watched Regina King did a show the other couple of years ago called The Watchmen. I don't know.
Okay.
Did you see Watchmen? They
I've
talked
seen the
about
previews.
Tulsa, Oklahoma in that show.
Yeah.
And there was a big piece of that show had to do with Tulsa, Oklahoma. So people, we gotta stay woke. We gotta do our reading. We gotta try to find the information. One thing that the internet does, it affords us the opportunity to find things out. Now, of course, you have to be careful because there's some lies out there. There's some stuff out there that people have fabricated.
Or they just, the information is not correct and they kind of, it's almost like a folklore, like I heard, so I share.
But you'd be surprised what's out there if you go out there and you do the research. We didn't know anything about the women that helped with the NASA program before Hidden Figures came out. I should have known that. In my lifetime, I should have known something about that, but I didn't know about that. So this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. We gotta, for you people that are sending your kids to HBCUs, that's important. Make sure that they learn everything they need to learn while they're there. Or if you're supporting HBCUs, because there has been a big movement. We have, we know people here in Delaware that have really pushed that over the guys. Like a guy like Steve has been pushing that for 10 years at least, right? Yeah. So that's what's important. So, but we're going to move on. If you have any comments, just make sure that you put it out there and let us know. But we want to try, and we're always going to try to put out stuff that we want you guys to be talking about. So, going to move into the sports thing since we just got finished talking about the HBCUs and some of the athletes and so forth. One of the things I wanted to do was give a shout out. I know he's not listening, but maybe one day he will be, to Tiger Woods, and his son Charlie for they had a great showing in the tournament, the Pro-Am tournament, the PNC championship this past weekend. Boy, that Charlie, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, he priming
like his father out there on that course, man. I'm telling you, the boy handles himself the same way. He when he goes to hit the ball, he has the same swing. I mean, they were doing side by sides of the way Tiger swings and the way perfect textbook. I'm telling you, this kid is good, man. He's going to be really something. And you watch Tiger play. Tiger played well, but Tiger, to be a golfer, you have to be able to walk that course. and he could not walk the course.
Mm.
He was riding along in a cart the whole time. You know?
Wow.
And there were a couple times that he took some shots and he grimaced. You know, you could see that he's still hurting. But, you know, and he said he's about 75%, but he said it was good to be out there.
So for those people who don't know, is he recovering or is that a permanent injury or a permanent?
He's recovering. He will never be perfect again. He got, his legs are so messed up. You know, he's not going to be what we're used to. Is he going to be able to compete again? That only Tiger knows the answer to that. And we know we've counted Tiger out before, and a couple years ago.
Yeah, right. Came back with a vengeance.
Yeah, he came back with a vengeance. So only Tiger knows whether or not Tiger is going to be able to continue to play. But it was good to see them compete. They actually had a shot to win the tournament. But, you know, they missed a couple putts down the stretch. But they came in second, and people, you could tell, a nothing like going to a golf event when Tiger is on the course.
Yeah, I'm sure
everybody's there.
You know, I know one thing I was reading or it was on a video they were talking about. Somebody was interviewing Tiger and they're like, oh, you know, was your son nervous out there? What do you tell him? And he was like, I tell him the same thing my dad told me. He's like, it's the same shot no matter who's watching, who's not watching. You know, so just focus on the shot because it doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, Tiger, that's easier to say than to do when the championship's on the line and you got 50 million people around the world watching.
Tiger Woods' son, and you learn how to concentrate the way the Tiger concentrates. I'm sure he blacked it out. They came out, you know, Tiger's thing on Sundays. You know, he always came out in red and black. You know, that's his. Let's get him thing.
Oh yeah, and his son came out the same.
And Charlie came out the same way. You know, so. You know, this kid's going to be something else, man. I think he's going to be good. So.
Well, I mean, with Tiger as your daddy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, ain't no, that's almost like, Richard and, Serena and Venus. Like, you got the best.
You got the best. That's what it is. So, you know, but I just wanted to shout them out because I did look at a little bit of it. And it's funny. I only will look at golf and Tiger's playing, you know, and that's just what I do. So, you know, but I wanted to give a shout. I wanted to talk about the NFL and all of this craziness that's going on with this COVID. Right now, COVID is really affecting all the sports. It's affecting hockey. It's affecting basketball. Like the Flyers were supposed to have a game tonight.
Oh, were they? Home game?
Yeah, they were supposed to have a home game at the same time that the Eagles were playing tonight. From the game that the Eagles was supposed to be playing on Sunday, they got pushed to the night because Washington had 30-something players with COVID. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So instead of canceling or having Washington to forfeit the game, which everybody felt they should have.
Yeah, I'm curious why they wouldn't have.
Because apparently Washington's owner is a very powerful guy, and everybody thinks that the guy told the commissioner, hey, we're not forfeiting. You just need to move the game, and the commissioner moved the game.
Gotcha.
Because the owners kind of own that commissioner. We won't even get into that. That's a whole mess right there. But anyway, so the Eagles, instead of getting the forfeited win, which would help them with their playoffs chances, the Eagles get, you know, now Washington, I think they're getting like 16 players back for tonight's game because they pushed it to Tuesday, including their starting quarterback, who was also out with COVID. So it was a conspiracy theory involved with the whole thing. But anyway, and the Flyers was supposed to have been playing at the same time. They share the same parking lot. So if you pulled in, you have a season parking pass.
Trouble.
You may not have your parking space because
they
the Flyers fan that has that same parking pass was probably in your spot.
So which game started first?
Well, they both started at
the exact same time?
But a couple hours ago, the Flyers game got canceled because of a COVID.
Okay.
So
now they kind of lucked up.
It kind of worked out. So just the Eagle game is going on tonight.
And it's funny, like when you told me about the story, you know, I started reading about it. And what happens to the fans who make travel arrangements?
That's what we've been all weekend long. Like I listen to talk radio.
Yeah.
I listen to WIP a lot and a lot of sports talk radio. That's just me. And that's how I start my day. And there was a guy that called in on the radio station. He had his grandson drive. They drove from Ohio over the weekend. No, Friday night. They started out Friday. They got there late Friday. They got there early morning Saturday. The kid was going to his first football game, 10 years old. He was excited. They've been Eagle fans. They actually are from the area, but they live in Ohio now. They're all getting all excited about the game, and then they say, hey, we're going to move the game to Tuesday.
Right.
He had to be back in Ohio Tuesday because of something, some test or something he had to do. So he couldn't go to the game.
Yeah.
Because he had to leave this morning. So he couldn't go to the game. There was no way they could change the schedule because he had to be back, So they flew back to Ohio. They rented a car and drove, but they flew back so he can be back in time for whatever it was.
Yeah, because like there were a couple of stories I saw like that where people were airfare, travel, hotels, and time off from work.
This kid's grandfather who was taking him to the game can't go either because he has to work.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's work. And guess what? The Eagles said no refunds.
Of course.
Nobody's getting any money back, whatever. So you didn't. And then if you bought a ticket just off, say you wanted to go to the game, you bought a ticket, the minimum ticket price is $125. The minimum, So think about how much these people who are season ticket holders or whatever,
hundreds,
thousands and thousands of dollars.
And even to throw it in, if these vaccine mandates go in, and I think we talked about it a little bit last time, so we won't go into it, but they may not even be able to get in, period.
And all this started with the Redskins because of one player who refused to get vaccinated, and he was what they called Agent Zero,
the spreader.
And he was the spreader, the super spreader, because he got everybody sick.
So, and I was talking to my wife, how does it work where we're calling him the spreader when all of the football players go home, spend time with their families, they're doing things off the clock, and then they come back? So, like, can we really call him the spreader when I'm sure?
Well, he wasn't vaccinated. Majority of these guys that also got COVID were vaccinated. Some of them were vaccinated. So some of them were asymptomatic. Mm-hmm. That's why they're going to be playing. A lot of them are going to be playing tonight. But he can't play because he was he fully got COVID. So it's really crazy because in sports, it's going on in basketball. There's been cancellations as far as basketball is concerned and everything. So this is where we are, guys. This, and I'm an Eagle fan. I was kind of hoping that the Eagles got the forfeit because Washington always gives them trouble. I just have a bad feeling about tonight's game because Washington's going to have a makeshift lineup still. Please don't let Washington beat this team tonight, and that's all I got to say about that. So,
I don't know if it makes you feel any better or worse, but my kids are Washington Redskins fans. Just FYI, Maya and Quincy.
Well, Washington football team.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Washington football team.
Can't say Redskins.
Yeah,
that's right. We got to make sure we're
PC.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. So, all right. So, but anyway, go Birds. That's all I got to say. Go Birds. Run over that team and do what they got to do. So, all right. So, we're going to take it to something a little different here. How many of you guys are Target shoppers? I just,
where all the ladies at?
Yeah, where all the ladies at? Target. Everybody loves to go to Target.
The bougie Walmart.
The bougie Walmart, which I just don't get it anyway. I'm a Walmart guy personally. I go to Walmart. So, but anyway, there was a TikToker. Why is everything about TikTokers these days? I don't know. But anyway, they run the world, I guess.
They do.
She talks about how Target let her steal $3,000 worth of merchandise from the store before confronting her. This person's name is Ashley, and Ashley talks about how she had been going to Target over a number of years, going in, seeing stuff that she liked, she would just take it and walk out the store with it, And she thought it was fun because she would get away with it on a regular basis, whatever the case may be. And Then one day, Target said, okay, that's enough. And they pressed charges and she was arrested. Okay. Now, what prompted Target to do this? Well, apparently Target has some of the top security systems around, apparently, and they videotape everybody that's in the store, and especially people that are stealing. They've been able to videotape these people, and they allow you to take this stuff. But once you get up to a certain amount, which I think the threshold was $3,000,
Dave, it would be just our luck to try to go in there and take a little item and clink clink. Yes, I mean it definitely crazy. You know, like when I heard this and I was reading some of the comments people were putting. Some of the things they were saying is that if you steal stuff and you're not sure where you're at, can you call Target to kind of get your balance sheet? You know, like, okay, you know, where am I at?
Wow, yeah.
You know, because I mean, it's like, okay, who adds up how much stuff they steal? Like, when you steal, do you look at the price? Well, Dave, I know. I mean,
well, I haven't been in Target, so I don't know.
I mean, I know you don't steal because you're a deacon in the church and you are like a man of God. Yeah. But I'm just saying for other for other people, it's like, okay, when you steal stuff, are you looking at the price tags? You know, which is crazy.
I think, you know, I don't know if you look at, well, some people may be.
Yeah.
Because depending on what they're stealing. So what they're stealing Michael Kors or something like that, you know, you don't know. I don't think I'm Michael Kors.
No, they definitely don't. Now they may have a Nicki Minaj line and some of these other TikTokers.
But I guess what happens is when the people take the things off the rack, they can see what they're taking and they just assume how much it is that they're taking.
Right.
So like with this particular, there was an employee who talked about, yes, they do videotape you and they watch you and they definitely watch everything that you do. So if you get to a certain level, yes, that's when they say, okay, we're going after them now. And so it's interesting when you see stuff like that. I don't know how many people have gone into one of these stores and tried to steal from them, but it is interesting when you see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. And I wonder, to be honest, I wonder if race plays into that too, because, okay, even though I hear them saying this, I would still be very nervous to go in there and steal anything, you know, over $10. And I just feel like I just feel like with my luck, that $3,000 limit would apply to me.
Oh yeah. Well, and it all depends on, because I don't know. I mean, is it every walk? I mean, Target that does this. I mean, you know, but apparently, according to the employee, he's saying that this is something that regularly happens.
And Lord forbid you look like somebody else.
Oh yeah. What celebrity was it that got caught stealing?
Yes, it was a girl.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was.
I can't remember who it was.
Was it Amy Wine? No, not Amy Winehouse. It was. I feel like it was Goldie Hawn's daughter
or something. Yeah. Got caught stealing from a Target.
Yeah.
You know, so
buku money.
Yeah. So I guess you get tempted when you see stuff that you really want and you don't want to pay for it. You know, I had friends that were boosters. You know, for those people who don't know what boosters are, that they are people who go in the stores and they steal things and they sell it. You know, if you ever been in a beauty salon or a hair cuttery shop or any type of those type thing, and somebody walks in and said, "Hey, anybody need this? Anybody need this?" Those are boosters.
Or I'm about to say, even leaving the mall, hey, I got a watch. Yeah. Oh no, at the gas station. That's in fact the one right over here. That's where they always catch me. Oh, I got a watch. I got the latest iPhone. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, and one of the ones I used to know, she would go into the barbershop and say, "Hey, I'm going shopping today. Anybody need anything?" You know, that type of thing. But when you talk to them, one of the things they would tell you about why they do what they do is because it's the thrill of it and the thrill of possibly getting caught, you know, or not getting caught. And so it's a big game to them. You know, I had this one friend that used to say that she would see something in the store and she wanted it bad enough. She said she was leaving that store with it.
Wow.
And they had all types.
What jail is she in now?
She never got caught.
Wow, she got lucky.
And like there was a very famous group here in Delaware. I'm not gonna say any names because everybody knows what I'm talking about. But they would go in the malls and stores and they come out thousands and thousands and thousands.
Was this a public group or this was just like a undercover group?
Oh yeah, they were undercover.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So, but some of these people, they have all the little gadgets. They go in with the wire cutters. They got hooks and stuff inside of their coats. Like this time of year, this is the best time of year to do all this weather. Because you've got the big coat weather and everything. They have hooks inside their coats. They can hang stuff on. They put whole hangers in their coats and hang them on hooks or whatever. Yeah, it's
and I don't know if you've seen recently, they've had a couple of those in LA and Chicago. I think maybe over on Black Friday weekend, where they basically have a mob. So it's like 30, 40 people. Mm-hmm. They run in, smash, grab, and it's like, when 40 people are running out the door with stuff, you can't even go after them. And of course, they hit up the high-end luxury stores like the Louis Vuitton, all those. So, they came out with like hundreds of $1,000s of, stolen merchandise.
Oh yeah.
In fact, they've done that at King of Prussia a lot too.
I know. There's been quite a few smash and grabs up there at King of Prussia. They did one night. This was years ago. I was at up on Tool 2 at the shop right up there, and they used to have before the furniture store moved in that place. There was I can't think of the name of it, but they had jewelry and everything in there. And I never forget, I was walking out to the parking lot. All of a sudden, I heard all this loud smashing and whatever, and it was a smash and grab. They took all these guys. You could see them in through the window. They grabbed, and you could swoop down, grab all the stuff, and run out the door. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Wow, did I just see that?"
Right.
I mean, but this is the kind of stuff that goes on. So, but I just wanted to put that story out there. So next time you guys out next time you guys are out shopping,
right, at Target, just know you got some leeway.
Keep it under $3,000, okay? Keep it under $3,000. You might not have any issues. They might give you, tell you can't come in the store anymore, but at least you're not being arrested or whatever the case may be. So we wanted to put that story.
Yeah, and if they tell you can't come to the store, you just find another Target and you just rack up your credit limit at that one too.
There you go.
Just don't go over the limit.
Yeah, so, but that's my last story. Would you got anything else to
talk about? Nah, I mean, that's pretty much everything. I know we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, you're listening to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Lynn. You can find us on all major podcast platforms. Make sure you like us. Make sure you follow us. Dave, you have any closing words?
No, I think, wait, hold on. Yeah, of course I got something to say. Happy holidays. It's Christmas time, so we won't be talking to you guys. When we do a roundup. Yeah, that's right. We got a roundup on Friday. Make sure you tune in on Friday evening around 6:00 to hear our roundup. But I just want to make sure and say to you guys, just in case you don't get a chance to listen, happy holiday to you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. We want to make sure that you guys are safe and that you guys are all getting what you want to get. Len, you want to add anything there?
Yeah. So I'm going to say the same thing I said last time. Don't go broke for them kids. I already know that, my kids will be happy, but they're not going to be excited. But,
and why is that, Leonard?
Huh?
And why is that?
Because you know what? And this is going to be a whole nother time. We got to talk about this after Christmas. Kids don't really want stuff anymore. You know what they want? They want stuff for the phone, or at least my kids.
Okay. They want a new phone.
Yeah, new phones. They basically want all digital stuff. So, I mean, everything they want is like gift cards, money. They don't want toys. I mean, of course, they want clothes. But
it's funny because the trend has gone to clothes now.
Yeah.
Remember, you bought clothes before. I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, now it's a little bit different when you buy your own. It's different than when your parents buy them.
That's right.
But anyway, kind of like Dave said, I hope everyone has happy holidays. and we look forward to seeing you. Make sure you follow us and like us, comment. And other than that, we will see you next time.
Okay.
Join us next week for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your hosts, Dave and Lynn.